that I realized that this was like something. It was this show my age too. Was Quake 4. If anybody remember playing Quake, I was like Lieutenant Rose or some guy with a deep Southern accent, and that's all I remember about it. But the difference is going in and recording it as opposed to the standard type of stuff that you normally do was very different. And then just realizing how big the franchise was. And I remember going, and the store was really, I saw Quake 4 everywhere, and I was like, oh, that's something, okay.
Actually, my first professional voiceover gig was a video game. It was an online MMORPG called Dungeon Fighter Online.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I played one of the player characters. So it was just my first foray into all that. But my first big video game, I was brought in to do additional voices on Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they had me do 15 or something different voices. So that was just okay, I really gotta pull something different out of my bag of tricks by voice 8. Oh no! But there's a quest where you're finding these kids from I think they're an orphanage or something. And you have to go around the town and find them. I played 2 of the kids, a boy and a girl. Yeah.
I think so. My first professional voice acting gig was actually a training video for nurses that specialize in dialysis machines. Yeah, we could have worked together on the same thing. I could have coached you up on the ER. You're doing it wrong. I'm an actor who's played something. No, and it was literally my first paid. They gave me $75, and they ripped off all this professional footage from actual films to make this training video. And they were like, "Be Yoda, be this," and it's you punch the blood into, and you're like, what? And then my first professional video game was even more glamorous. It was a directly translated game called Castle Shikigami 2. I mentioned this yesterday, that if you go to audioatrocities.com, which is a website that specializes in horrific voice acting in games, on there. All of Castle Shikigami is on there. It's just a steaming pile. It's awful, it's so bad. And it was, but I was so stoked to be a part of that. And literally, it was me and an engineer, no director. I think the script had been translated from 2 different languages before it got to English. Yeah. So it's lines like, I am Kim DeJohn, I have 7 homes and 6 moms. And you're like, what does that mean? Just say it. And it was that was it. And I was like, I'm in Hollywood.
Literal translation.
Oh, it was literal.
They took his gospel.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, go to the site. What? And then also the dialect coaching and the language and all that kind of stuff. It was easily the most challenging, but the most enjoyable and most fun. We all became a big family on that. But yeah, that was a lot of work just for that one in particular, for me.
I guess Genshin was really challenging just because I had to balance up to 3 different voices for one character, plus 7 NPCs. So trying to hold all that in your head is hard, and they luckily they have reference voices. So when I was coming back to record the second story quest for Raiden Shogun, I had 3 voices in that, right? So we recorded all in one voice, so I could just do it one whole pass of the story as Raiden Shogun, the Raiden Shogun, and I had to do one whole pass as A, so doing the entire story again as A, and then Makoto doesn't show up until the end, so I did a whole pass of that last part as Makoto. So that was just challenging, trying to keep balance all those plates and not sound like the same person 3 times.
I'd have to say again, for me, it was Ghost of Tsushima, because it went on for 2 years. It was very complicated. There was a linguist actually in the booth with me, helping me with the pronunciation. And I also, towards the end of the recordings, my pronunciation. I had fractured my ankle, and in several places. And so for a good part of the recording schedule, I had, I was in the process of recovering, and that was just sort of problematic. It was this huge lot that I had to go across. Later in a wheelchair, I would have to have my son or someone come with me to push me in my wheelchair to the session, and I'd walk in. So that was literally, it was physically challenging. That was a physically challenging game for me.
Actually, Greg, wrong answer. ER the game.
Actually, Dr. Kelnick performed the surgery on my ankle.
I think one of the ones, I mean, so many are super like vocally strenuous and things like that, but like there was a video game that I worked on for over a year called Disaster Day of Crisis. You know, I was the title character for it, and it was going to be the new RPG when the Nintendo Wii came out. And just working on that video game for a solid year, the amount of hype that was behind it, only to have it not get released. Yeah. So it was, it got a release in Japan, and then a kind of a release in Europe, and then they decided, not gonna get enough traction. They tabled it after working on it for over a year. So yeah, that was very frustrating.
Has anybody ever brought like a cover from a foreign version?
Yes, actually I have. I have had some people bring it to my table. Very rare though, but yeah.
For each of you, where would you like to see acting for video games in this as it gets more and more interactive? And where would you like to see it go?
No loot boxes.
Control that.
More exploding barrels. Should explode more.
You know, I think I know where I don't want to go. I mean, but the computers are almost to the point where they can literally simulate reality in the way it looks, but they thus far cannot simulate the human voice. And that's where I hope it doesn't go, because if it goes there, we're all out of jobs. So, you know.
I think that's a waste.
I'm conflicted with this because I always see like things getting so much more realistic, like to that same point. And I just think if we start getting way too photorealistic about this sort of thing, then what's the point of playing a game if it's not still rooted in fantasy? And so I don't know, I still feel like this I always say like what makes a great game is when we talk about like Dying Light. The narrative in Dying Light is, but the gameplay is just phenomenal. And you can keep going back and playing and playing and playing. So like as long as we serve like the immersive element to it, I just want games to still feel like games. And when you see it blending into becoming like way too much like Hollywood, where it's like, it's look how realistic it looks, it's like watching a movie. It's like, then go watch a movie. We want to be interactive. We want to play.
Yes.
Because it seems like every now and then they want to push the technology, like we're revolutionizing storytelling. You're like, no, you're not. It's like it should serve in the name of the interactive element of it, but when it starts getting way too pretty, I'm kind of like, are we making a game anymore? Or are we doing a long form movie to where every now and then you press B to move the story along?
Yeah, is it a game or does it become a virtual reality and choose your own adventure book?
Yeah.
Which is not in and of itself a bad thing per se, but yeah, there's supposed to be games. At some point, somebody needs to blast or shoot or punch or kick somebody.
Yeah. Or have a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and exploding hero. Actually, somebody described to me why that is. Like, and you might know this. Like, somebody said that like, why is it always cubes and barrels that explode? And they said it had something to do with the programming and the way that like shapes are created, and they needed something that would fill space, that would make sense. And they're like, and barrels were the perfect thing for it. And it was something about like a functional thing as to why barrels and boxes. But it's not like we don't know that if you play a game and you see a barrel or a crate in the corner, you go over and start punching it or trying to like, this thing's gotta blow up, or it's gotta give me some loot. You know, it's gotta be something. Yeah, as they said, early design.
It gives you big gold coins that go in the
Yes,
air.
exactly.
If they disappear,
Yes.
then your direct deposit might come.
Yes.
Running for governor of New Mexico in 2026. My wife doesn't want me to do it. But the other candidate in the governor election was a TV anchorman. And I said to myself, well, if a TV anchorman can run for governor, I bet Uncle Iroh could win it. But the question is, I'm really lazy, and so at the end of the day, I don't know if I want all that work. But, you know, who knows? We'll see how that goes.
I got my fingers crossed on Castle Shikigami 3. Or ER the game, the sequel.
OtakuFest 2023, this is for the cast of Macbeth, and that was our time. But before we go, we're going to take a stage time with all of you. We're going to invite you to come towards the stage, not on the stage, but towards the stage. Let me get a picture of all of you and our amazing guests. All right, big smiles on count of 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3!